Fantastic, Helen. Thank you so much. And welcome everyone this afternoon. It's a real joy to have you with us on this sunny Wednesday afternoon. As Helen said, today is our planning for progression masterclass. And on behalf of my team here at Hays Legal and Bristol Law Society, we're so delighted you could make time to come along today. Just a quick intro to myself. I'm a national director here at Hays. I oversee our legal and company secretarial business in the UK. I was previously a lawyer a long time ago. So I've been in the Southwest legal market for about 25 years. I started life as a commercial property lawyer way back in the day, and I worked for Bevan, Brittan and Osborne Clarke. And for the past 18 or so years, I've been supporting lawyers uh, plan their careers and make the most of the opportunities available to them. What's our aim of today? What's today all about? Well, today is to provide you with hopefully some practical tools, some advice, and some lived experiences from our panel who will be sharing some of their journeys through getting promoted through the years and how they went about it. And the aim is to give you lots of tools that you can go away with and that you can use to equip yourself to develop and execute a successful and targeted long-term career plan. So in terms of what we'll be covering today, we'll be looking at the career paths open to lawyers and then looking at some of the building blocks that it's worth you thinking about, whatever stage in your career you're at, of how to plan well and effectively for your career path. We'll be looking at what components go into building a case for progression. And then we'll be looking at both how you can get promoted internally and how you can look at that in moving firms in the open market. And then I'm delighted, the bit you probably all come to hear is to hear some real life experiences from our expert panel who'll be sharing some of their experiences. I'll be putting some questions to them. We'll be discussing those. Thank you to everyone who submitted questions in advance. We really appreciate those. We're going to try and get through everything. If something occurs to you today, please do pop it in the Q&A and we'll do our best to get through as many of the questions that come through as possible. So that's where we're going. Let's get cracking. So in terms of career paths, I don't think there's anything that quite counts as a normal career because career paths can be so varied within the legal sector. For those who are in private practice, and in terms of today, a large focus of what we'll be looking at is the career structure of private practice, as well as touching a little bit on what else you could be looking at outside of private practice. But there's a little bit of an overview there of a career path on the left-hand side of the screen there that many of you will be very, very familiar with. And many of you might be at completely different stages on that chart there of where you are in your career. But the important thing is what we want to do is give you some tools that will help you be equipped for the next stage and the stages that lie ahead, wherever you fall in that particular chart on the left. Just to say, private practice isn't the only option open to you. For many people, they might feel private practice is not for them. And you might want to explore other opportunities and know about what else might be available to you. And there's so much you can look at, whether it's going in-house, whether it's actually staying in private practice, but moving out of fee earning and becoming a professional support lawyer or knowledge lawyer, whatever they might be called in your business. You might want to go into the public sector. You might want to exit the law entirely. The good news is everything that you do in your career can open many, many doors for you. And I'd be more than happy to chat with anyone who wants to explore things outside of private practice. But today is very, very much about giving you some tools for how you can be most effective in your journey in private practice. So let's get cracking. Planning your career, where do you start? Well, the advice I give to all lawyers that I speak to is the best place to start is asking yourself, what do you want out of your career? What is it that excites you? What is it that that interests you in terms of your career? Being a lawyer is not an easy job. It is demanding, it is long hours, and it's a very, very robust industry that asks a lot of you. So you want to make sure that whatever you're going into, you're excited about and that you're interested in. So I always say, find where the joy is for you. Find the thing that brings you the most life. And that is where you know you can build a long-term career. Now, you might change direction. I certainly changed direction in my career, and I very much went for where the life was, the thing that interested me most. And that's the important place for you to start is find out what excites you and focus on that and invest your energies in building a good solid platform for your future. And then once you know where you want to go, you know the direction of travel you want to go in, find yourself a good champion, someone you admire, someone you look up to, someone who inspires you. There might be someone in your own firm, it might be someone outside of your firm, but it's someone who gets the industry you're in, who understands what you are facing and can be your champion, they can be your cheerleader, but they can also be quite fair with you and be quite helpful in terms of calling you on things you might find hard or need to think about. Having a good champion is really important. And with your good champion in your corner, my advice is it's never too early to start planning. Once you know where you want to go, be brave. Start having the conversations internally with the people who have sway over which direction your career might go in. It is never too early to show you're ambitious and that you want to progress. Whether you're a trainee, whether you're an associate, a senior associate, or an LD knocking on the door of partnership, is never too early or too late to start really honing in on the things that you want to achieve. So once you know the direction of travel you're wanting to go in, you know the area you want to be in, specializing in, how do you start building a good, solid personal career plan? Well, as with all these things, there's a matrix of variables that make up a career plan. And the reality is within every firm, there's going to be a different combination of things that matter most to particular firms, the things that they focus on, the things that hold more weight. And my advice, as always, is starting with a good understanding of what's the next promotion in your career path and what are the variables that actually your firm are interested in you demonstrating to show that you're ready to take that next step. What do they look for from lawyers at your level in order to take the next step up? And we're going to look at some of the things that are on the screen at the moment to give you a bit of a building block and an outline of things that you can be thinking about, an evidence base that you can start putting together. So let's start having a look at these. Number one, technical skills. Technical skills are an absolute given within the legal industry. Your clients, when they come to you, they just expect you to know what you're doing. Whether you have all the answers or not, that is the baseline expectation is technical ability. It's why they instruct you. So as you're building your career path, you want to be thinking about what kind of lawyer you want to be. Do you want to be a subject matter expert? We all know them, people who are absolute knowledge experts within a particular area or practice within your own department. I remember sitting next to one in my early days at Bevan Brittan who knew everything about local authority property work. And listening to him on the phone was so instrumental in me understanding what it was to get good at the things I needed to get good at. And you might feel that's what I want to be. I want to be a subject matter expert. And you might see that as your way of distinguishing yourself from some of your colleagues in a particular area that you want to move into. One of the ways you can show that is by being a thought leader. It's not just about building up that expertise, but it's about talking about it. It's about writing articles. It's about delivering training, whether that's internally to your department or externally to your clients or the market. Once you get good at something, you want to start talking about it. And it's a way of really highlighting where you are in your career and why you are such a value add to your department and to your firm. This is your first building block towards getting promoted, is showing your technical skills. Alongside that, you need to be brilliant at client service. I remember on an event very much like this, interviewing Caroline Turner Inskip, who's a partner at Simmons and Simmons. She's head of their Bristol office and actually oversees their global well-being initiatives. And I remember asking her, what was it that most surprised her when she became a partner? And her answer was, I wish I had known earlier that lawyers, including partners, are salespeople. Now, lawyers don't really like to think of themselves as salespeople. Lawyers like to think of themselves as professional experts who offer a professional service. But actually, we are all salespeople because the more senior you become in a law firm, the more time you actually spend convincing clients that they need to use you over the competition, that they need to come back to you with more instructions, that actually they need to trust you to introduce them to your colleagues who can do other services for them. You are a salesperson, whether you realize it or not. And managing client relationships is such an integral part of progressing as a lawyer, showing that you are able to look after good client relationships and do a good job of bringing them into the firm for other departments. So, what are the things that you need to be evidencing, that you need to be showing that will help with that? Well, number one, developing your soft skills. How do you present? How do you network? How do you communicate with clients? The soft skills are as equally as important as the technical skills, where you show that you're able to look after clients, you're able to win them, and you're able to influence them. Soft skills are imperative to that. You might show that through a secondment. You might want to go and spend time with a client, learn everything about them under the skin, and show that you can work alongside a client as an addition and an extension of their own in-house team. That shows that you have excellent client management skills. When you've done a good job for a client, don't be afraid to ask them for an endorsement and collect those up for when you're doing your reviews, when you're putting forward your progression case for why you feel you should be promoted. And finally, show that actually everything that you're doing with your clients, you can do in a commercial way. That means being on top of your financial performance and your financial hygiene, showing that you can do things within cost estimates, that you can stay on top of not just your chargeable hours, but your write-offs, your billings, your lockup, showing that you have a real understanding that client service not only has to be good for the client, but it has to be good for the business. It has to be financially beneficial to your firm in all that you're doing. Showing that you can get on top of these things is important. I've talked about it, but winning work is now imperative at every level in your career. In the golden oldie days, it was the partners who went out and won all the work and just brought it all back in through the door. Now law firms are looking for all of their lawyers to be able to win work, whatever level of your career you are at. So how do you do it? How do you even start? Well, the starting point is showing a real passion for business development. And you might think, well, where do I start with that? Well, it starts with saying to the partners and the senior associates and the LDs in your team, when there's some opportunities for business development, I'd love to be involved. If there's a tender or a pitch coming up, can I be part of the team? Can I have an opportunity to do some of the research or maybe be part of the pitch delivery team? Showing that you are hungry for it and that you want to be involved with it gives them confidence that you will be a competent addition to that team. But also, it's about growing your own network. Networks don't grow overnight. It takes time and it takes investment and it takes your energies to show that you can build your own network. Maybe at people in your industry who might be able to refer work to you at a similar level to yourself. And as they grow, you grow alongside each other. And growing that network is so important. This has to be incremental and it has to be sustainable. You can't wait until just before you put in your reason for promotion to quickly run around the market to a few networking events. You have to show a consistent and sustained investment in being visible to your market. My advice to you is it's never too early to start. Get stuck in whatever point of your career you're at and show that you are a highly visible ambassador for your firm in the market. I've touched on people skills and the importance of obviously winning clients, looking after clients, but people skills are equally important within your internal market. What does that mean? Well, there are some politics to promotion, and being a good people person and showing that you are a team player is so important when it comes to promotion. Showing that you are a net contributor to the culture and the environment you operate in is so important. And there are so many different ways that you can do this and evidence this. As I say, being a team player is really key. Do you get involved within your own team in coaching others, maybe in supervising others? In sticking up your hand when there's a new project that needs to be run or managed or overseen. When there's a new initiative coming through within your department or within the firm, do you put your hand up? Because being a team player is not just about bringing lots of money through the door, but it's actually about making sure that your team is better off for having you in it. Do you get involved in management? Do you take responsibility for the financials of your team and show that you're growing in competence in all of those areas? There are so many unwritten rules to promotion. And the question is, do you know the unwritten rules within your own firm of what will help you get ahead? And that's why having an ally, having a sponsor who is senior, a partner, or someone in the department or the wider firm is so helpful, because they can cast a critical eye over your plans and give you a good steer on whether you're on the right track, whether you're way off beam, whether you need to focus on particular things. So getting that person in place is so important. And we'll talk a bit later about how our panel have navigated that in their own careers. Coming out of people skills is culture. Sometimes progression can be measured, opportunities by how much you bill, by how much work you've done, which clients you've won. But some of them are a lot harder to measure in a smart way. And sometimes it's your place in the culture of your firm that can be difficult to quantify. But there are things you can do to help. Do you live the values of your firm? Do you embody them? Do you know what your firm wants to be known for in the market? And are you a part of that? That means, do you get involved in things? Do you help with committees? Do you help perhaps with pro bono work? Do you help with initiatives that are launched, whether it's in social mobility, whatever the case may be? What are the areas that you are passionate about that reflect the culture of your business? And how can you show that you are driving forward the reputation of your firm in the market? Embodying the culture is so important as you grow as a lawyer to show that you are part of what the firm is about. And then pulling this all together. So I've thrown a lot of things at you there. How do you pull it all together and how do you evidence it all? My advice is to have a working personal development plan, to have a document that shows what you are doing, that shows what you're achieving, and shows where you are gunning for, what you are hoping for. And as you're pulling it together and you're thinking about all the things we've been talking about, there's some important things that are important, double important there. There are some important things that I think you need to bear in mind within this document. Number one, where I want to go and the things I want to achieve. Does it align with the firm's strategy? Is it heading in the right direction of where the firm is going? Or am I trying to develop in an area that the firm is not investing in, is not keen to develop? It's a sector that they not actually currently see a future in. What is the strategy of the overall firm? And is your idea, is your sector you're interested in, the client base you're interested in, the type of work you're interested in, does it align? Then does it meet the promotion framework? In terms of what I talked about earlier, that matrix of factors that give you the opportunity to get promoted, the thing you're backing, the thing you're saying, this is what I'm going to do, where does that feature in the framework? Is it hitting the right key things that they're looking for? You might have to go back to the drawing board and think again about how to evidence what they really want from the things you want to do and make sure that they're fitting well. This, as I said, is not an overnight document. This isn't something you just draw up the night before your interview. You have to build this over time with lots of input. But you have to show that it's not only fitting with the firm-wide structure, but it actually fits with where your team is going. And it's a benefit to your team. The area you want to develop or the thing you want to be known for, is it what the team wants to be known for? And I think sometimes getting outside input on this can be quite helpful, whether it's the partner in the team, someone in the wider firm, because you have to show that the thing you want to do is actually realistic within the market. Is it where the market's going? The type of work you see as you wanting to do, is it something in growth? Is it something that's got a future? Is it something that is commercially viable? You need to show that it reflects the current trends or maybe future trends within the market. And then you've got to show it's commercial. You have to show it's going to make money. Partners are less inclined to back new initiatives where there isn't a clear return on investment. So you've got to show that it's good for the firm and it's good for the bottom line of your team. And then finally, be ambitious, but also be really, really realistic. It's good to it's good to set out a good store, but make sure that you can back it up with some cold evidence to show that it's a viable investment. So what do you do once you've got your business plan in place? My advice, use it in your appraisals. Use it in your reviews. Use it when you sit down with the partner to say, look, this is where I want to go. This is where I see the trajectory of my career going. Will you help me with it? I'm really ambitious. I want to get promoted. And that's where that sponsoring partner as well can be working with you over months and years to hone it, to get it ready so you're ready for that promotion. A question we always get asked is it easier to get promoted in the firm I'm in? Or is it easier to get promoted by moving firms? Well, in many sectors, and the legal sector is a case in point, actually moving firms is a natural opportunity to get promoted. Obviously, within all firms, there are natural promotion rounds that come along every year. And my advice is know the cycle in your own firm, know when the opportunities are coming up, and be on the front foot. Be ready for it. Make sure those conversations are had well in advance of that promotion cycle coming round. But you've got to ask yourself, what are my likelihood? What is my likelihood of getting promoted where I am? Is there opportunity? And if not, ask yourself, could I be promoted actually by looking somewhere else? And the starting point in weighing that up is asking yourself, probably the hardest question is, what are my barriers or what is the biggest hindrance to me getting promoted at the moment? And then you've got to work out what your answer is to that. And it can be a multitude of things. Is it the partner in the team is not supportive? Is it the team is already quite full? There's no opportunity for progression? Is it actually firm management? Actually, the firm aren't investing in what I want to do. Is it the market? The market's not supporting what I want to do. And probably the hardest answer is it me? Am I my own biggest hindrance? Are there things I need to get sorted or improve on or invest in? And once you've got an idea of what that biggest hindrance is or that biggest blocker is, you can consider what you need to do to get that fixed. And as you're weighing up internal and external options, it's good to ask yourself some questions. Will I be able to learn more where I am or somewhere else? Is there things I want to learn that I'm not getting where I am? Is there more space for me to develop somewhere else? Can I progress faster? I.e., is there more headroom? Are there better opportunities for promotion elsewhere? You ask yourself things like, will I be able to do better work or the things I really want to do for clients that I don't currently get the opportunity to work for? I do want to broaden your client base. Are there better opportunities for success elsewhere? Is there a better platform I could be building off? Whether that's reputation, sector presence, panel appointments, partner expertise, there can be a whole host of things as you weigh that up. And you might feel, well, how can I weigh those things up? My advice is to get advice. Get input from people who can help you, whether that's people internally, whether it's people externally. I spend so much of my time supporting lawyers as they consider their career plans, their goals, their frustrations, their opportunities. And what I regularly do is what I call a career clinic or an MOT with lawyers, where I look at your career and your goals and opportunities, and we talk about them and what the viable options are. And if they'll be useful for you, I'm really happy to do that with anyone. Please feel free to get in touch. So as we come into land, before we start talking to our partners, my key takeaways from today that I'd love you to go away, think about and work out for yourself. Take the time, number one, to work out what you want. What do you want to be? And what do you want to be known for? Because that is imperative to the direction of travel you go in. And begin speaking to the people who hold the keys to your progression in your business so that you know what your opportunities are. And then start putting that business case together, taking into account all the components that we've been looking at today. And be really realistic with your likelihood of success where you are. And then consider whether opportunities might exist for you that are stronger or more immediate elsewhere. And get the right help and the right support. It can be a little bit like going into the dragon's den trying to get promoted. And sometimes it's a yes, we think your ideas are great. And sometimes it's love the concept, but you really have some gaps here you need to go away and work on. This is your career and you need to own it and give it careful, timely, deliberate, and ongoing investment so that you can make all the difference to your career. Right. Well, thank you, everyone, for listening so intently. Hopefully everyone's still there and I haven't lost the entire room. But I'm really delighted now to introduce our panel of expert partners who are going to be sharing a little bit about their journey, a little bit about what they've done and how they have made the journey through various stages of their progression. So I'm delighted to welcome my panel of partners this afternoon. Firstly, Leila Goodarzi. Welcome, Leila. Leila is a partner at VWV. She has actually spent her entire career at VWV, so will be excellently placed to talk about seeing your entire career through at the firm you trained at. She qualified as a partner in 2020 and currently leads the Bristol Estates Tax and Trust team. She also spearheaded and now leads VWV's specialist legacy protection team. Where she supports charity and higher education clients. So Leila, welcome this afternoon.
Thanks, Sheldon. Great to be here.
I'm also delighted to welcome Briony Holland, who's a partner at Womble Bond Dickinson. Briony joined Womble Bond Dickinson 10 years ago and very recently was promoted to partner within the renewable energy sector. She advises on some of the UK's first commercial scale green hydrogen developments. As no doubt she'll probably talk about, she's very, very passionate about the role of energy transition within the industries in achieving net zero. And she's a very active member of the Southwest legal market. So thank you, Briony. Lovely to have you with us.
Thanks very much. I realise I'm wearing the same top as I am in my photo. So just to reassure everyone, I do have other clothes. Thank you.
Fantastic, Friday. And last but by no means least, welcome to Adam Corbin, who's a partner at Michelmores. Adam's a partner in the agricultural litigation team at Michelmores, and he was the partner and chair of Michelmores' litigators practice group for 6 years and is an active member of the firm's Equality and Diversity Committee, where he works incredibly hard to promote the organisation to all, as well as to advocate change in his own business and externally. So welcome, Adam, and thanks for joining us.
No worries. I'm also wearing the same outfit as in my picture, just with a tie.
Well, it's obviously a good look that everyone's come with. Thank you so much. Right, what I want to get the partners talking about some of their journeys, and where I wanted to start with you all, if that's okay, is as each of you have gone through your career and may partner, all of you have worked so incredibly hard to make it to partnership. What is the thing that's kept you pushing forward on your own partnership journey? What is it that's helped you overcome some of the obstacles, push on through, and keep going on the journey you've been on? And I wonder if I can start with you, Leila, in terms of some of your journey and what kept you going.
I think for me, what kept me going is sort of definitely having the support of, as you say in your slides, finding champions, whether they are peers, whether they are your supervisors, whether they are other partners around the firm, to be able to just give you that support when you're feeling a little maybe demotivated or wobbly, or you're not sure on next steps, but just getting that encouragement when you need it and knowing who to go to for that encouragement. That's definitely helped keep me going. And specifically in terms of wanting to keep going for promotions and keep moving up, if you like. I suppose it's seeing what others are doing at different levels and thinking, I'd quite like to be doing a little bit of that. I think, well, in starting to think, I feel motivated to want to try and move into that space now, and sort of having those, again, examples of people that you look up to, or the people that you would like to sort of start to move into their space a little bit more. That's also kept me going, having visibility of that. Yeah, that would be my answer in terms of what's kept me going with those promotions.
Amazing. Briony, what about you? Having just gone through the promotion track and I imagine had to work your way through that, what are the things that kept you going?
Yeah, so I think for me, it's probably the need I feel as though I have a need to kind of personally be progressing all the time and moving forwards and developing. I think I really like to have a goal and work towards it, and having a structure like that really drives me to keep doing what I'm doing and to keep trying to better myself. I think having a law firm where you've got quite a clear hierarchy of steps and progression stages is quite good for me, because at each stage of my career that I've been at, I've seen sort of quite obviously what I feel as though the next thing that I want to reach for. And so I think it's that feeling of not wanting to stand still and to keep learning and to have a target and work towards it. And I think at times in my career when I felt as though I've not been progressing towards something, it hasn't sat very comfortably with me, and I've kind of had this niggle in the back of my head that I need to be doing something in order to make sure that I am moving forwards. And I think alongside that is the desire to be more involved with everything that I've been working on. So whether that's more involved with client relationships, more involved with team management, I've kind of wanted to have my say and my view taken into account. So I think the desire to have more influence over the decisions that are made, both client side and within the team, have been kind of big motivation factors for me.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. What about you, Adam? What's motivated you?
Well, I did a few other things before I came to law. So I was basically 33 by the time I finished pupillage. And so really, I was just in a mad hurry to catch up with the other people who are kind of my peers. And so I think that had a big part. Also, though, a little bit like Briony said, I think if you've got a clear career structure in your firm and a clear idea of how you can engage with that, then you've got something to go at and a structure to proceed through.
Fantastic. Right, let's get practical. I spoke a lot about being organized, being structured, building a plan, and having an action plan that you can follow. Briony, obviously you've recently gone through the promotion track to partner. How did you start your formulation? How did you go about it? And what were some of the building blocks you felt were important to put in place? And feel free to counter everything I said earlier if you that's absolutely fine.
No, luckily I was going to start off by saying, as Sheldon said earlier, I think the key starting point where I felt as though it was the start of me going for my application to partnership was really talking to people and letting people know that it's something that I wanted to do. And I think you perhaps think people assume that you want to go for it and think that they'll be thinking about it and you're thinking about it. And so perhaps hold off talking to people and saying, look, I want to go for partnership. And I think probably because of maybe my insecurities, but probably others have the same insecurities, that there's a bit of a fear that there'll be some rejection, or you'll tell someone that you want to be a partner and they'll sort of laugh at you and say, well, no chance. And I think it would be very unlikely for somebody to do that. But I think the fear of that happening perhaps stops you putting yourself out there and saying, look, this is something that I would like to do and I'd like your support to do it. So I'd say trying to put that fear aside and have those conversations as early as possible, really, because I think until you've had those conversations, you've not really started the journey in terms of getting people on board, and you need people on board to support you if you want to be successful in your promotion. And I think one of my learning points from each stage of my promotion rounds that I've had is that I've felt as though I would like someone to come and tap me on the shoulder and say, look, you're ready for it, go for it. And instead, what the reality has been is that I probably start thinking about it earlier than anyone sort of mentioning it to me. And then it becomes a case of you bringing together your case and finding the justification and evidence for why you should be promoted to the next stage. So I think my advice would be, don't wait around for someone to come to you. If you want something, go to people and tell them that that's what you want. And as soon as you do that as well, you'll find that people come up with ideas that help you and enable you to come up with opportunities to support you with what you're doing. So I think that the sooner that you can do that, the better. I think when I mentioned to some people that I wanted to go for partnership, suddenly I found that somebody gave me the opportunity to speak at an event, which wouldn't have come my way had I not mentioned it to them. And therefore, I think that it is all part of the process. I also think that there's quite a lot of more structured development opportunities that you can do. So at WBD we have a Tomorrow's Lawyer course, which is effectively a leadership program, and so anything that you can do to start thinking about things from a different perspective, from a kind of big picture point of view, rather than in your silo in the work you do day to day, I think is really beneficial. And I learned a lot from that, and it gave me opportunities to start putting together a business case and testing elements of it. And then just the third thing that I wanted to mention in answer to this question is getting hold of the application form nice and early, because WBD, I think it's kept under lock and key to an extent, and I think that the thought is they don't want people to embark on it without having got the support that they need from those around them first. But until you get that, you don't know what it is you're answering in terms of your application. So I think the earlier you can get hold of the application form, even if it's with the understanding that you're not going to submit something before you've got the support that you need, it's obviously really important you get that, and that you're aware of the performance standards. So getting those really helped me to start putting together the bones of my application.
Amazing. Thank you very, very much. Coming to you, Adam, formulating your plan and obviously putting together things. Over your career, how much has the input of others shaped things in terms of where did you go for input? Where did you go for support? And how did they support you on your journey?
So we used to have a very hardcore senior associate selection process, which involved a sort of 2-day assessment. What I ended up doing was talking quite a lot and spending quite a lot of time with the rest of the cohort who were pursuing that at the same time as me. And those 5 people are now the 5 people that I'm partners with in the firm, or 5 of the people I'm partners with in the firm. And, you know, the relationship that we formed during our time when we were applying then has carried us through over the past, 8 years or so, and has really stood us in good stead. So it means that when we want to refer work around the firm, then we're usually, it's usually they're the first people I go to. And when we're pitching for work, they're the people that I pick for the team that I'm going to put together for that pitch. So they've been really, really important, and I'm sure that I hope that they'll remain really important. The other thing, though, is that you do need, as you said, a trusted supervisor / sponsor who sees you through on your journey. And that really, really makes a difference, I think, because they're not only there to champion your cause, but also to give you some friendly advice when you need it. And I'm always in need of a bit of friendly advice to knock me back a bit now and again. And so Viv Williams, who recruited me and who I've worked for ever since I've been with the firm, has always been that for me, and that makes a really big difference.
Fantastic. Thank you so much. Getting the right person in your corner can make or break a journey, really, in terms of progression. Leila, I want to ask you, in terms of the journey you've been on through progression, and at whatever stage you feel is most appropriate to talk about, but what are some of the challenges that you have faced or been met with, or not even necessarily, insurmountable ones, because clearly you've been very successful, but the things you've had to work a way around, or find ways to overcome some challenges. What have those? How have you gone about doing that? And can you share some stories with us of things from your own journey?
Yes, I suppose I made partner in 2020, the big COVID year. And that was 8 years after I qualified. And I was looking at your first slide, Sheldon. I think I've had every single job title that you can have in the firm that I'm in. But in 2020, if I just focus on that challenge, I suppose, I interviewed, well, the whole partnership process was going on whilst I was on maternity leave and during COVID. So not everybody is going to hit that challenge. Hopefully, nobody is going to hit that challenge on the COVID front. But I suppose it's not always linear. It's not always a case of you set your sight on the next promotion, the next job title, and there's this nice linear process between getting from A to getting to B. Sometimes life happens for whatever extenuating reason. The process might need to be paused. Sometimes perhaps you're not ready for it and you might need to take a step even backwards slightly to refocus and rehone some skills that you need to be able to go forwards again. Sometimes it can slightly change direction. And I think I would just encourage people to not think that it's going to be a linear process, because it's not always. And sometimes the promotion process can be a bit stop-start. It can be slower than you like. Life can happen, as you say, it very much did for me. But it does not mean that you won't get to be. It just might, there just might be some challenges. So yeah, I think for me, it was definitely that jump between senior associate and partner. And I actually interviewed a couple of weeks before I had my second child. So again, wasn't planning on it going that way, but sometimes it just does, and you just slightly have to roll with it. Yeah. So my takeaway really is that it's not always linear. Life happens, and don't be too derailed.
That's brilliant. It's so helpful to hear someone, talking about it's not always easy getting promoted, and sometimes it can be a challenge, and sometimes there's a bit of, there can be, some barriers and some slowdowns. I just wanted to come back to you, Leila, if that's all right, in terms of
Yeah.
that whole idea of going full promotion at a time when you're going to be out of the business on maternity leave, for
Yeah.
example. I speak to a lot of maternity returners who come back feeling like their confidence has been knocked a bit, or they like not sure what it's going to be like coming back. How have you navigated that in terms of coming back into I guess a new role for you coming back post maternity, and how did you navigate some of those maybe feelings or thoughts that some other people might be feeling if they are in a similar situation?
Yeah, it's a really good question. I think it's probably there's no real sort of short answer. I suppose my first example is I went off at solicitor level when I was more junior and came back at associate level. So that was maybe less of a leap. It's my first child. So yeah, there's the usual worries around, have I forgotten everything? Will I know the way to the office, and how do I log in, and all this sort of thing. And you sort of, I think with that time around, I sort of thought, I'm coming back to the team I know, and I know that the support is there, and I know that I take the pressure off a little bit. I just need to sort of warm up and get there again. And so that was actually, it was all right. You just have to just be kind to yourself a little bit. The second time around was, yeah, it was a bit wild. I went off as an associate, and I actually moved up through 2 promotions on my mat leave, came back during COVID to be the head of the team. I mean, it's a slightly unrelatable example on the facts, but actually, again, I sort of applied the same principles. I'm coming back to a firm that I am invested in, with people that I kind of trust, and colleagues that I want to be around, and I kind of know it will be okay. And you just have to kind of be kind to yourself and take the pressure off and think some of this is around learning, which I'll pick up on again. Some of it is around just reintegrating yourself into the office, getting yourself in to the extent that you can, and being around people again and realizing you can still do it. Yeah, it's not easy, but it's not impossible.
That's fantastic. Thank you. Thank you so much for sharing from your own journey there. All of you have obviously been through multiple promotions through your careers. And as you reflect on them, what are some of the things you wish you had known, maybe as a junior, that you've now learned having gone through multiple promotions, or things that you would say to yourself back then that might have helped you in those early promotion stages, whether that's, first promotion to associate, senior associate, whatever the case may be? Briony, what would you say to Briony back then in terms of things that might help her on the journey she was on back then?
Yeah, so I think I would say that internal networking is as important as external networking, because I think throughout your career, that external networking is important and is the sort of route to new work. But I don't think I perhaps realised how important having that internal network is. And I think, as Adam alluded to earlier, having kind of your peers to help you with progression, but also being known within your own firm for what you do, what opportunities you can get from other people, and working for the same clients, and having that internal networking piece that I think perhaps can be overlooked at times. And so, yeah, I think that would probably be my standout point to myself.
What about you, Adam? Thank you, Briony.
So I think, so to give an example, when I was trying to become a senior associate, I was in Bristol. Most of the panel were in our Exeter office, and I hadn't really clocked that the culture in our Bristol office was actually different at the time. We were the frontier office at that time, and we had a sort of slightly different outlook. And I was in the ag team where we had a national practice. We didn't consider ourselves to be a Southwest team. And some of that stuff just wasn't really, I think, how the panel felt. And I got through it, but actually it was probably harder work. I probably made it harder work than it needed to be, because I probably didn't have enough empathy with, I didn't know my panel well enough, really. And I could have spent more time understanding a little bit more about the culture and the feel of the different arms and legs of the firm. And we're much more joined up now, and it's a different, it feels different, but there's always going to be people who have different views about strategy, people who have different priorities, and people who just have different perspectives. And I think it's a skill that you make use of, whether you're pitching for work or pitching for a new job, really. But definitely taking a bit more time to understand the perspectives, and whoever's mentoring you in that journey is always really helpful in learning about that. And certainly when I help people to find mentors in our firm, I try to mix up the teams and the offices and the locations and everything, just so that they have a completely outside perspective, and someone who's going to challenge them.
That's really helpful what you've just said there about mentors and sponsors. One of the questions we did have in was, how do I choose one? How do I go about it? What do I do to get a mentor, a sponsor, someone who's going to be in my corner? You've talked a bit about how you encourage that. What would you say to someone who doesn't have that at the moment? How do they go about it? Where do they go?
So if there's no, formal mentor policy in the firm, I wouldn't let that in the firm you're in. I wouldn't let that stop you. You need to find somebody who you think is a bit of a kindred spirit, but not too similar, and just ask them. And if they're not up for it, then find somebody else and ask them. I mean, I am a bit of a fixer for mentors in our firm. So people do come to me and say, oh, they want to find a mentor. And then I find somebody for them who I think is going to work out. So that's also an option. You can always go to your team leader or somebody like that who you feel knows you and ask them to help you to find somebody, particularly if you pick somebody as a finder who is well connected across your firm, then they'll find somebody.
Fantastic. Thank you. Just looking at someone who's about to walk into an interview, or they put their case forward and now they're facing a panel of people who are going to ask them a bunch of questions that they've never had experience of. Leila, if I come to you, you've been involved in partnership for a long time and have probably seen other people coming through the ranks and you've supported them. What advice do you give to people who are going into the lion's den for the first time? What would you say to them going into that situation?
Yeah, it's easier said than done, but really, you have got to back yourself. It's such an obvious point, but if you walk in there and you don't back yourself, it will come across. Now, backing yourself when it's misplaced is one thing, but by the time you're going into a panel interview, one would hope that you're backing yourself for good reason. And just letting that kind of come across, that belief that you are already acting as though you have that job title and all the things they want from you, you're already either delivering on or are very close to delivering on, or have a very good business case for how you will deliver on it. So it's just that kind of confidence, I suppose. I think it really lands. And yeah, I just think that self-belief is quite a powerful thing. And even if it's fake and you've kind of had to take every type of chamomile tea to take the edge off the nerves, whatever you need to do to be able to go in there and sort of speak confidently, yeah, I think that's key.
That's really, really helpful. I'm aware of time. If you were leaving our guests today with a bit of advice, whatever stage in their journey that they're on, about the best thing that they could do to help themselves for the future, if you were leaving them with a bit of encouragement, what would it be? If I come to you first, Briony, if that's okay.
Yeah, so I would say try to work out as early as possible what your USP is, what you stand out for, what you're good at, and where your strengths lie. And I think if you can align those with your firm's growth plans, it will put you in a really strong position to be able to put together a good application and a strong application for a promotion. So really working out what it is that you can deliver on and where you stand apart from others.
Fantastic. Thank you. Adam, if I can come to you.
Quite similar, but I think a very clear understanding of what your business case for this promotion is, and the ability to articulate that in a number of forms, no matter how you're asked the questions. And sometimes that means quite a bit of practice with somebody who's sponsoring you, not to rehearse exactly what you are going to say, but to be challenged by some different ways of asking probably the same questions, and then being able to follow that up with examples of how you can deliver, or you have delivered, or you would deliver on a particular aspect of the business case.
Fantastic. And then Leila.
I've got two very quick ones, Sheldon.
Great.
First of all, I would say don't wait until you feel ready. Wait until you feel motivated to apply. I don't think waiting until you get to a stage where you think I am ready to take on this process and this new job title and this promotion, you're gonna be waiting a long time. But the point at which you feel motivated to do it and to go through it, then yeah, great, go for it. My second point is my bit of advice would probably just be to try out your new job title for size. As Briony says, go and look at your criteria. What is required of someone operating at that level with that new job title? Go and live some of it. Does it fit with you? Does it fit with your work-life balance that you want for yourself? Can you do it? Do you like what's required of you? And kind of test it to see if actually that is where you want to go and what you want to do.
That is absolutely fantastic. Well, with a minute to go, I just wanted to say thank you so much. We've tried to get through as many questions as possible, but thank you so much to my panel for being so helpful today. As I mentioned earlier on, if anyone just feels, I just need some help with this, I just want to talk to someone, please do drop me a line. My details are on the screen. Happy to provide an MOT of your career and where you are at the moment. But just thank you so much, everyone, for joining us this afternoon. Thank you so much to Briony, Leila, and Adam for giving up their time to share their pearls of wisdom and learned experiences. We really, really appreciate your honesty and everything you've shared today. And I'm sure if everyone wasn't on mute, they'd all be clapping and whooping at the same time at the moment. Helen, can I hand back to you in terms of any points of order or anything you wanted to share?
Thank you very much, Sheldon. Yeah, thank you all of you, Sheldon, Briony, Adam, and Leila. That was fantastic. I really thoroughly enjoyed that. There was so much great stuff in there. So I've absolutely no doubt that everybody who's attended today will have been scribbling notes madly and hopefully putting some of that into practice. There's nothing better than some of these lived experiences, particularly. I think there were a couple of questions that came in. But again, we'll share Sheldon's details. I think those are probably things that you could pick up with him directly through the CV clinic, if that's okay. But really just to say thank you all for your time. If there's anything else you would ever like us to do in terms of career progression or indeed any other subject, then please do let us know. But in the meantime, thank you to everybody, Sheldon, the panelists today, and to the rest of you. I hope you have a good afternoon. Thank you.